This is video solutions for the Algebra 1 Chapter 8 practice test. Looking at number 1, it says a function is shown in the table below. Determine the rule for the function. So at this point, I would come over here and just kind of look and see, get an idea of what's happening for each input and each output. And then since this is multiple choice, I would probably use my multiple choice to my advantage. So I would just pick a number like 6 and I'm going to plug it in. So let's see, 6 plus 3 is 9 times 2 is 18. So do I get 18 here? No. 3 times 6 is 18 plus 2 is 20, so no. 6 over 2 is 3, plus 3 is 6, not 15. 6 times 2 is 12, plus 3 is 15, and 15 is what I need, so I know my answer is B like boy. It says last year there were 20 students in the book club at Lincoln High School, and this year there are 25 student members. What is the percent increase? Percent increase is where you go new minus original over original. So basically, I'm doing 25 minus 20 over 20 minus 20 equals, and then divide that number by 20, and you should get 25%. Number 3, Kim can sprint at a speed of 21.12 feet per second over short distances. At this rate, about how many seconds would it take her to run from first base to home plate? Round your answer to the nearest tenth of a second. So let's see, if she's going from first base, there's 90, 180, 270 feet. And if she's going 21.12 feet per every second. Notice how I use dimensional analysis here. I put feet diagonal from feet so they would cancel and I'll be left with seconds. So I'm doing 270 divided by 21.12. I'm getting 12.78. So 12.8 seconds is your answer. Number 4, a weather balloon was released from an altitude of 810 feet above sea level and began to ascend at a constant rate of 50 feet per minute as shown in the table. If the balloon continues to ascend at this rate, how many minutes will it take it to reach an altitude of 1,310 feet above sea level? So looking here, this is going to be my information, and I want to know when will it get to 1,310 feet. It's going at 50 feet per minute. So as you can see, for each minute, we're adding 50 feet. So basically, if I just continue this, I'm going to go 1,010 plus 50 plus 50, that'll be 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 minutes would be where you get your 1,310. So I would say 10 minutes here. Number 5, I'm multiplying. So I'm multiplying this times this, and then times this. So 2w cubed x times negative 8w cubed x to the 4th is going to be negative 16 because I'm multiplying my numbers. And then when my bases are the same and they're being multiplied, I'm adding my exponent. So I have w to the 6th and x to the 5th. Then I have a positive times another negative. So 2 times negative 6, negative 12, and then w to the 4th, x to the 4th. So it looks like my answer is going to be D, like dog. Number 6, find the prime factorization of 42. So 42 can be broken down into 6 times 7. I'm going to circle 7 because it's prime. And then 6 can be broken down into 2 times 3. So 2 times 3 times 7 looks like the winner here. Number 7, find the greatest common factor of 80 and 90. So 80 can be broken down into 8 times 10. 8 is 4 times 2, and 2 times 2 would be 4. And 10 is 5 times 2. And then 90, 10 times 9. 9 is 3 times 3. And 10 is 5 times 2. So now I'm going to find what they have in common. Well, they each have a 2 and a 5. Now these have extra 2's, but 90 doesn't have any more 2's. And 90 has extra 3's, but 80 doesn't have any more 3's. So I have my final answer in 2 times 5, which is 10. Number 8, find the GCF of these numbers. So I'm going to break them down kind of similar. 4 is going to be 2 times 2. And then I have G cubed. And 12 is going to be 4 times 3, and 4 is 2 times 2. And then I have G to the 4th. And again, I'm going to go through and analyze what they have in common. Well, this has 3 G's, and this has at least 3 to give. And then this has 2 2's, and this has 2 2's to give. So I'm going to have 2 times 2 times 3 G's, which is 4G cubed. Be like boy. Number 9, the brass section of the marching band has 36 trombone players and 48 trumpet players. The band director wants to arrange them in equal rows that have as many musicians as possible. However, all of the musicians in each row must play the same instrument. How many rows will there be? Well, my greatest common factor between 36 and 48 is going to be 12. So if I do rows of 12, I would have 12 and 12 and 12 for trombone players, and that would give me all 36. And then I would have 12, 12, 12, 12 trumpet players, and that would get me all 48 trumpet players. So total, there would be 7 rows. Number 10, factor the polynomial. So basically, I want to see what they have in common. I'm going to look at my numbers first. Between 12, 18, and 4, my greatest factor that I could pull out of there would be 2, because each of these can be divided by a 2. Then I noticed that each of them have at least one b, so I'm also going to divide a b out of them. So when I do that, I would have 6b squared, 9b, and a negative 2, because here my b's would cancel. So I'm looking for letter D, it looks like. Number 11. The amount of paint needed to cover a wall is proportional to its area. The wall is rectangular and has an area of 6z squared plus 3z square meters. Factor this polynomial to find possible expressions for the length and width of the wall. Assume the factors are polynomials. So this is a rectangle, and you want to try to factor it to see possible dimensions. So the first thing I would do is look at my greatest common factor. And my greatest common factor of 6z squared plus 3z is going to be 3z. Because if I divide a 3z out of here, I'm dividing a 3z on both parts, that would give me 2z, and 3z divided by 3z is just 1. So I'd imagine I'm looking for something that looks like this. 3z and then 2z plus 1 left inside. There we go. Letter B. Number 12. So this is factoring by grouping. And as you can notice, you have k minus 4 inside my parentheses on both of these. So I'm ready just to go ahead and pull together what should be together. My 7 minus 6k can be one of my binomials. And then since these are the same inside the parentheses, I can use them as my other binomial. This is section 8.2. If you're needing a refresher, you can always go back and watch that video. So my answer is D like dog. Notice my 6k is negative. My 6k is negative here. My 6k is positive here. So don't choose letter A, choose letter D. 13, factor by grouping. Okay, so now we get to actually factor this. So I'm going to group these two together and group these last two together. And I want to think, what can I divide out of this 15x cubed minus 6x squared? I think my biggest factor there is going to be a 3. So I can factor out a 3, and then I would have, I can factor out a 3x squared, actually, because each of them have an x squared to give. So then I'm going to have 5x minus 2. Then I'm going to look here, and my biggest thing I can factor out of there would be just a 5. So I'm going to factor out a positive 5, and I would have a negative 5x plus 2. Okay, now if you notice, what's inside the parentheses is not the same. Here I have a positive 5x, and here I have a negative 5x. Here I have a negative 2, here I have a positive 2. So I need to find a way, basically, to change the sign of everything inside of those parentheses. And the easiest way to do that would be to actually have factored out a negative 5. So if we factor out a negative 5, that would change this to a plus and this to a minus. And now I have the same thing inside the parentheses. So one of my binomials is going to be 3x squared minus 5. 3x squared minus 5, here it is. And the other one is going to be my 5x minus 2. And here's the 5x minus 2. So it's definitely better B. Again, that's section 8.2 if you're needing a refresher. Number 14, what is one of the binomial factors of this trinomial? So they're trying to pretty much not let us work backwards here. They're just giving us one factor. So if I need to factor, to get to an a squared, I need an a and an a. I need factors of 48 that equal 14 when added together. So factors of 48, let's see, what about 8 and 6? Positive 8 and positive 6. So it's going to be B like boy. Because 8 times 6 is 48. And 8 plus 6 is 14. 15 is going to be kind of similar. Now we're multiplying and getting a negative. So I know to get b squared, I need a b and a b. But to multiply and get a negative, one of these has to be positive and one negative. So I need factors of 12, and their difference is a positive 1. So I'm thinking it's going to be 4 and 3. Because 4 times 3 is 12. But a 4 minus 3 is 1. Now I'm going to check my outside terms and my inside terms just to make sure I'm right. And that definitely gives me a positive 1b. So let's see, we're looking for b plus 4 and b minus 3. Here it is right here, letter D. All right, this is a good stopping point for video 1. So this is video 1 of 2 parts, 2 videos to give you all of your solutions for Chapter 8 practice tests in Algebra 1.